Okay, so here's our last proof for this video on proofs with rules of deduction. It's more complicated and it has a lot more blanks for us to fill in than the previous ones. However, I do want to point out that your homework assignment won't have problems that are quite this difficult. So on the homework, none of the proofs have like the majority of the lines being completely blank all the way across. So don't panic when you see this. I wanted to give us a tricky problem to do together because that will leave you more equipped to handle some of the trickier problems on your homework by yourself. But again, none of them are going to be quite this bare and ask you to do quite this much work. Okay, so in this argument, we have three premises. We have if A then B, then if C then D, and lastly, not D and not B. And our conclusion that we're trying to prove that we can derive from these premises is not C or A. Okay, so we're going to see how it is the case that we can get this conclusion from these premises using our rules of deduction. It's our last one, so let's get started. In line 4, we have not D. So what rule did we use to get not D, and which lines in our proof are we going to cite for having used that rule to get not D? Okay, the rule that we can use to get not D is simplification. And we can use simplification in line 3 to isolate not D as one conjunct of this whole conjunction claim. So our rule is simplification. And our line is 3. Okay, let's move on to line 5. So here we have a blank spot in the claim, the rule, and the line. So we need to fill in all three of those things. So what is the claim that we're going to write in line 5? What is the rule that we're using? And what lines will we cite? One note that I want to make is that it's true that at this point we could actually derive two different claims with the information in lines 1, 2, 3, and 4. However, with the information that you already have filled in on the board, there's not a lot, but I've given you enough to make this unambiguous. So it's not ambiguous. We shouldn't have a question about what we're going to fill into line 5. Okay, so we're going to fill in line 5 with the claim not B, simplification, and the line that we're citing is rule 3. So we've just further simplified this whole conjunction claim in line 3. Now we have each of its conjuncts isolated. The reason that we know that this is going to be not B and not the other claim that we can derive with the information in lines 1 through 2, 3, and 4 is because the other claim we can derive is not C, and I've already filled that in for you. Okay, so we know that we're going to get not C next. What rule can we use to get not C, and what lines are we going to cite for that rule? Okay, so for not C, we're going to cite modus tollens, and our lines are 4 and 2. We can do that in numerical order, right? 2, 4. Okay, so modus tollens allowed us to derive not C with the information in lines 2 and 4. So what should we fill in now for line 7? So for line 7, our claim is going to be not A. We're also using modus tollens here, but we're citing different lines. We're citing lines 1 and 5. Okay, on to line 8. How are we going to fill in line 8? What claim can we make, or what claim can we derive from the information that we have on the board now that will be most helpful to us getting to our conclusion in 2 more steps? Our next claim is going to be not C and not A, using the rule conjunction. And we're citing lines 6 and 7. Okay, this is our last rule, so we know that somehow we're going to get from line 8 to the conclusion. Somehow we're going to get from not C and not A to not C or A. What rule of deduction allows us to make this move? Okay, so we know again, because this is our last line, that our claim is going to be not C or A. The rule that we use to get there is De Morgan's laws. and we're just citing line 8. So we only need line 8 and the rule of deduction, De Morgan's laws, to get to our conclusion. Okay, that's a successful completed proof. So I hope you guys feel good about that. If you have any questions, please rewind the video, go and rewatch some of the other videos that will walk you through them, and always feel free to get in touch with me.